Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing out there? I hope everybody is fantastic. I am here. It is Wednesday night. It is 9 p.m. Eastern in the United States. I have no idea what time it is where you are because I don't know where you are. But we're going to get this done tonight as usual on a Wednesday night. Going to be talking about the live show overall a little later in this live show. I've already talked to you about some changes that are coming, and I've made some decisions regarding that. But before we get too deep into that, let me just go through the business stuff right now. What do you say? First of all, if you are watching this live show for the first time and you are not yet a subscriber, you should consider doing so. That button is right there. Just hit it right now. Just hit it right now. You can just do it right now, and then you're done. And for all of you, we get a lot of repeat viewers here every live show. So just like it. Just give it the thumbs up right now. You know this is going to be a fantastic live show. You know I always bring a lot of fantastic information to these 2-hour live shows. So hit the thumbs up before we get too far into this. I don't care if you're watching live right now on May 18th or you're watching in the year 2172. Just give this video a thumbs up. You can also share this video. If you think that there are people out there who should be watching this live show, share it on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on wherever. Email. Just do it. If you think that there are people out there that would love this live show, copy that link, send it to somebody and say, you got to watch this. You got to see it. And if you're feeling a little curious, you could also hit the join button down there and you will become a special member of this channel where you get a lot of not free stuff because you're going to be paying only 10 cents a day, but you're going to get a daily live update from me. You're going to get the Unfound Now episodes early. You're going to get the episodes in video a day early. A lot of cool stuff that goes on there as well. For, once again, the low price of 10 cents a day. That's quite a deal in these days of stagflation. And that price is not going to change. $2.99 a month, 10 cents a day. Please consider it by hitting the join button down there. So I think I got all of the business stuff out of the way. So let's see who's in here, and then we'll move on. You know how I always like to start these live shows with personal things that are going on. Valerie gets in first, less than an hour, but I'm here. Yeah, Valerie, you tend to get in first quite a bit. Good for you. Thank you. Hello, Charlotte. Crystal says she's already hit the thumbs up button. Hello, Karen. The Real coming to us from Australia. Jasmine. Wendy. Hello, Wendy. The Real says it's 11 a.m. in Australia. Hello, Assistant Carrie. How are you? Stacy. Like Ed says, we know it's going to be a good show. Thank you. Cherie, thank you for moderating tonight. Hello, Kathy. A lot of the usual suspects are in here so far tonight, and that's fine. I should state that while you are watching, you can only do this if you are watching this live on May 18th. And that's, consider hitting the super chat button down there if you'd like to monetarily contribute to Unfound, to this channel. It's the little gray box with the $sign in the middle. We accept all donations, and we would appreciate that. And if somebody does that, I will point out what that looks like. Speaking of looks, you're probably wondering what's going on back here, Ed. What's going on back here? Well, I'm going to tell you. As you know, usually since, of course, way back in the day, back in Madeira Beach, I would do the live show, and that poster with Johnny Depp, who would have thunk it, from Pirates of the Caribbean would be in the background. That picture is actually, I still have it. It's right over here on the wall. You can't see it. Of course, you remember, for those that go way back to the Madeira Beach days of 2017, 2018, you maybe remember that. And then when I moved over here, you knew for a long time, I did all of the live shows over in the guest bedroom with the yellow wall and the unfound picture in the back, and then the other painting, the unfound painting that was in the background. But I moved out of there when my dad was here. And so I moved it over to my bedroom, which is right over here. I'll move you can see the door right there. There's the door to my bedroom. But I got to tell you, it's just a little weird. And I would have to move everything out anyway. I only moved it in here because my dad was here. Of course, he was only here for 5 days. But I thought, I got to get this desk and all of this stuff out of this bedroom as soon as possible because it's just weird. This is business. I know we have fun with this. It's what I do and everything, but it's weird to be actually doing that from your bedroom. But I really had no choice at the time. So I thought, okay, we got to move this desk back out of here. What are we going to do? Are we going to go back into the guest bedroom, or are we going to try something different? And I decided to try something different. And so now all of you are seeing the main room in my condo. So the guest bedroom, if I can move this around for a little bit, here's my Megadeth poster, is over there through that doorway down at the end of the hall. There is the door right there to my bedroom where I used to be recently. And now I am out here in the main room. And in fact, I'm facing my kitchen. The counter is like right there. The sink is right over on the other side of the counter. I'm facing the refrigerator's facing me. I'm looking at my kitchen now. And what you are looking at in the background is the rest of my condo, which I don't think anybody has seen until this point. Right back out there, that black darkness out there is my balcony. And that is the Gulf. If it was daylight time, if it was just a few hours ago, you'd see the sun over there. You might be able to see the water from here. I'm not sure. But that goes directly, the beach is down there, and then the water, and that's facing west through the Gulf of Mexico. And you'll see a little couch here, a couch over there. Main TV is right over here. And as my assistant Cherie saw a couple days ago, you're saying, are those video games right there? Those are. I wouldn't say I play them much. They're more for kind of the feel of this entire place. Kind of, you walk into my place and you get a particular vibe. I got, as you saw, Megadeth on the wall, Iron Maiden on the wall. We got Kiss and Def Leppard over there. You walk in, you get a particular feel that is me, and I think that kind of adds to it, even though I don't play those games, but they're always on. You can actually see Pac-Man kind of moving around. And the other one is Street Fighter 2. And they aren't original. These are not original video game arcade games from the 1980s. Of course, those are very expensive if you get an original that works. These are those ones that you can buy. They're probably more money now, but I got them. I got these about not long after I moved in here, but they're called those one-ups or something. What are they called? Step-ups or whatever. They're like miniatures, and you put them together. You need a power drill to screw everything together. And you have to put the controls together, and they come with a screen that you have to bolt in. It comes in a big cardboard box, and you have to put it together. That's what I did. And I bought those, and maybe many of you seen those if you've been to Walmart, or maybe you have some of your friends have them. They have a wide array of different choices there, from the golf game, the Star Wars, or the old Star Wars video game. And so I have two of them, Pac-Man, and like I said, Street Fighter 2. And it's just kind of the ambiance of this entire place. So you come in here, you got like a rock and roll heavy metal type of feel. You get a disc golf type of feel, arcade type of feel. And yes, if somebody walked in here, they might think that they walked in here and a 25-year-old lives here, but that's fine. So that is, now you've seen what, 3 rooms of my place. The guest bedroom over there, my bedroom over there, and now this is the largest room in the place. The front door is over there. And what I did was I moved this kitchen table up against the wall because nobody ever sits on the other side of it anyway. And so I've kind of made some room out here, and I thought, well, I'm going to try this. And this is what we're going to try for a while. And dare I say it, I think the acoustics might be a little better out here than they were in either bedroom, but maybe that's just me. So if you're wondering, well, this looks a little different, you're right. And of course, on top of everything else, maybe I've been on location. Of course, you've seen me do this live show from my dad's place in the guest bedroom where I sleep up there. You'll remember like the door that's over here that has all those pins on it. And there's the closet in the background. You've seen me do that. And maybe I even did a live show from a hotel room when I was at Worlds last year, or Airbnb. But so this is maybe the 6th or 7th different location that I've done where I've done the live show. So you should probably get used to it. I'm planning on keeping it here. I'm liking it so far, just after coming up with this off the top of my head. So I just needed a little bit of a change. And I am moving some other things around here, given that when my dad came here, I had to move all that stuff out of there. Now I'm gradually putting stuff back in there, but I'm really thinking about, is that where it should go, or it should go somewhere else? So here we are. So let's see what everybody is saying here now that I've done with my diatribe about why this location is different. Hello, Twinkle and Deborah. Hello, Deborah. And Twinkle, everybody's saying hi to Suzanne as well. Yes, it is a Pac-Man arcade game, Paula, but not, once again, not the original. I don't want anybody to think I spent thousands of dollars on each of these, because if you got the originals from back then, that's what they would be. I think each of those together was like $550 or something like that. But like I said, that was a few years ago. I'm guessing they're more money now. Boston says hi there. Hope everyone is having a great night. Ed, stop showing off your beautiful weather. It's going to be 55 here tomorrow. Sorry about that. Thank you, Fishing. Hey, Fishing, there you are. Where you been? Yeah, Boston, me too. The Real says, oh my God, video games. I wish I was there now. You know, funny, The Real, I'm really not that big of a video game guy. In fact, as everybody knows, I rent this place. So, this table, these chairs, the TV, the couches, all of that are not mine. The video stuff, the games are mine. But most of the stuff in here is not mine. The funny thing is, The Real, is there is actually a PlayStation 3 down in the cabinet here underneath the TV. It looks like it's pretty old. Maybe a PlayStation 2 or 3, something like. It's surely not one of the more recent. And it's been in there since 2019, since I've been here. So, but I don't think it has any controllers, and I surely don't have any games. But there is a PlayStation or PlayStation 2, something like that, under the TV there that's collecting dust that I've never used. And I'm not really that big of a video game guy. It's just when I moved in here and thought, I'm really going to try to make this place, feel like me. I said, I got to have a couple, these things, because it reminds me of going to the mall as a teenager. Carrie says, I can't picture you using a drill. Don't make me put you on the list, Carrie. I'll have you know that I'm probably better with tools than most people realize. You got to remember, Carrie, for 4.5 years, I was a printer tech, fax machine tech in Las Vegas, and took printers totally apart and put them all back together. So do not underestimate me in that. And when I say a drill, it would be a drill with a screwdriver bit on it. So, I wouldn't have to do it, by hand. That's what it was. And I had to get that from my brother, Brian. Valerie, you are very generous. Valerie has hit the super chat button and has contributed that amount to Unfound. Valerie, thank you so much. My favorite channel for years. Thank you, Valerie. You're very, very generous. Thank you. Thank you. Stacy says, you going to Rockville, Ed? Stacy, I was invited to go. In fact, my best friend, one of my best friends of all time, Doug, is driving there right now. I've messaged back and forth with him. He's driving from North Carolina to Daytona. And I was thinking about going, Stacy, seriously, because Kiss is there, Guns N' Roses is there, Megadeth is there. Of course, I've seen Kiss twice. Twice? Yeah, twice. It was on my mind, Stacy, but just wasn't that convenient. You also have to understand Daytona is the whole way across the state. It's not a horrible drive. It's not even a long drive, but it's not exactly convenient. And Doug had already made plans with 2 other guys to meet up and them all go to these shows. And where they were staying there wasn't really room for a 4th guy. Just a lot of things came together, and I thought about it for about a week. And I said, I think I'm just going to have to, just told Doug, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. So, there you go. But that's, I would love to see, the thing is, back in like November, they had something at the Daytona Speedway, and Metallica was there, and I was thinking about going. Didn't go to that either. Just hasn't worked out yet, Stacy. And of course, there's a money situation of driving over there and paying for a place because you're going to be there a couple days, and then to get in, and they're playing on multiple days, and you got to pay for multiple tickets for multiple days. It starts to add up a little bit. It's certainly a good deal if you're already over there and care about a lot of the bands, but I only care about a few of them. So I will just have to like I said, I've already seen Kiss twice. But I certainly would love to see Megadeth, and maybe they'll make it around this time area sometime. Maybe they were here last year or something. I don't know. But just wasn't convenient, Stacy, but I surely knew about it, and I thought about going. Kathy says, cows on the wall in Greeley. Right. I did a show from Greeley when I was out there. The cows were in the background. Kathy, thank you very much. Fishing, I am a very busy man. Karen, thank you. Hello, Joyce Rivatuzzo. Joyce Rivatuzzo, everyone, former guest on Unfound, making an appearance. Hello, Joyce. Hello, Julie. Carrie, if it's a vacation list, I will keep poking. If it is a vacation list, I will keep poking the bear. Now, that's funny. Boston says gas prices are way too high right now. They are. My car gets pretty good gas mileage, but to drive to Daytona and back, probably a full tank of gas. 4 times 16 would be $70. That's just in gas right there. It's just things I'm thinking about. Just wasn't convenient, but that's a good point, Boston. Stacy, it can be expensive. I live in Daytona. It's certainly a great show. Certainly, if you can go to all the shows every night and really get the bang for buck, it's certainly good. But that's not something I would have been able to do, Stacy. So, but it's on my list. If I continue to live in Florida, maybe we'll think about it next year whenever they do the next one. Yeah, Megadeth. I'd love to see them. In fact, I was just listening to Megadeth right before this show started. I was listening to the actual song, Countdown to Extinction, kind of get me in a mood. Valerie, Ed, did you ever play Nintendo? I have the original from my sister. Fun times. I did not have a Nintendo, Valerie. I had I had an Atari 2600, but that was like the extent of my venture into gaming consoles, and it was okay and everything. I just don't, I just don't know. I surely could play video games. A lot of my disc golfer friends play online. Call it, what is it? Call of Duty or whatever it's called. First of all, I don't have the time. Just never got into it, even though I grew up in that really when video games really became a thing. Atari 2600 came out when I was like 11. I mean, Generation X really grew up in that video game, really starting to really pick up where you're playing it on your TV and all that. But my friends who are brothers had Nintendo, so I would be over there. I played Super Mario and some of the other games, but I never had it myself. Had the 2600 too, yes. Okay, I think maybe everybody had the 2600 Atari. Okay, so that's what's going on with Rockville. And if everybody doesn't know, Rockville is a huge concert that's being held Thursday through Sunday, not just in Daytona, but inside the Daytona Speedway, which is fantastic. But just couldn't go, and I'm certainly jealous of my buddy Doug, who's going to be there. But so there you go, and that's all of that. I'm doing good, Robert. How are you? I'm doing fantastic. So moving on, disc golf had a chance to win again this weekend. I was actually in the lead in my division with how many baskets to go? Like 7 baskets to go, and I blew it. Choked a little bit. Little chokerooski going on there. I still played really well. I still shot the best score I've ever thrown at that course for an actual official rated round, which is great. But I was 3 under at one point, which would have won my division, but I finished it even 2 behind the leader who won it 2 down. And I know the guy who won. His name's Joe. Good player, fine player. But man, it was right there. I could have had 4 wins in a row. I'm trying not to feel too bad about it, but I do feel bad about it. Because you never know when this can all go to crap again and me start throwing discs backwards again. So kind of blew it, but still the results were a better result than anything I've ever had in all the years that I've played there. So, it's kind of, bittersweet, I guess. But it was a great day. Played on a great card with some of my friends and had my chances. Just absolutely had my chances and kind of blew it. This weekend, I'm playing in a doubles tournament, but it's not officially rated. I'm playing with my buddy Rich, and our team name is, of course, Iron Maiden. He came up with the name. He says we're going to call ourselves that. Okay. And we're both going to be wearing Iron Maiden shirts on Saturday. That will be a first for me. And it's a benefit for women's disc golf in Florida. It's a charity event. And it's being held right over here at Taylor, where I've won twice within the last few months. So I hope he and I will do well. We're both left-handed players. That'll be interesting. And he's a little bit of an up and down player. He can have a lot of good rounds and then some bad rounds. I would say that I'm more consistent. I would say probably I'm a better player than he is. But if we both get hot, we certainly have a chance to win in the amateur division. So we'll see. But that will be 2 rounds on Saturday. So I have to get there at like 8:30 and 2 rounds there. Who knows how long that will take. But last weekend, pretty good. Should have won. This weekend, playing in doubles. But I'm not due to play another official rated disc golf round as far as the PDGA, the Professional Disc Golf Association, until Worlds in July. And that's 2 months from now in Illinois. So I got time to practice. I'll probably be going over to the club on Sunday mornings if I can drag myself out of bed. Maybe try to play doubles on Tuesday evenings over at Taylor. But I really, I'm not signed up for many tournaments for the foreseeable future. But because I'm going to Illinois, I wanted to save up those registration fees that I would use for those other tournaments to be able to go to Illinois and play there. I'm going to be staying at my buddy Dave's house with his family. I'm looking forward to that. I haven't seen him or them in a while. I'm sure, I'll have just one round a day and maybe we'll do something after the round's over. I have no idea what I'm going to do with the podcast that week. I may probably, if I can work ahead, maybe I'll have an episode already prepared or might just have to take a week off. I don't know. That's way in July. That's 2 months from now. But I'm not due to play an official rated round until then. So, but I'll still be playing a lot. I'll still be practicing a lot. Boston, appreciate what you do, Ed. You're incredibly talented. You put so much into your work. Boston, you are very kind. Thank you so much. And thank you for that super chat contribution tonight. Thank you so much. Moving on, I was wrote on my Facebook page today that I now have 16 Columbo episodes DVR'd. Between Cozy TV and the Sundance Channel, and I think the IFC channel, they play a lot of Columbo episodes. Now, for a while, they were playing like some of those new ones from the 80s that aren't really that good. But now they've gone back to the 70s and the early 80s to like the really good ones. And so I've been searching on the DVR for when they're going to be playing, and I'm scheduling to record them. I now have 16 different episodes recorded and many more to come. In fact, just today I was doing searching and, I've like a week ahead. I've gone out and looked, well, which ones don't I have yet? Which ones don't I have DVR'd yet? And I'll hit the record button to schedule them. So I'm very excited about that because I had a bunch of them recorded for a while, but then they came in and put new cable boxes in. And so once that happens, they're all gone and you have to start building it up all over again. In fact, the thing that I'm ticked off about missing the most is I had the 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston DVR'd on the old box, and now it's gone. And now I'll have to wait till Easter next year for it to be played. Oh, well. But so I've been working on recording Columbo episodes, and right now it's 16, but I think I just scheduled another 3 or 4 to be recorded within the next couple weeks. So I'm going to have probably 20 here very quickly. Huge fan of the show. I'm a huge fan of a lot of, especially 70s movies and certain 70s TV shows. Like the original Hawaii Five-0 with Jack Lord is spectacular. I love it. In fact, I should start DVRing those. They play like a marathon of those every Friday on some channel. Heroes and Icons. I don't know if you have that channel, but I should probably start DVRing those. Jack Lord is spectacular with that hair. The hair. It's all about the hair. So, and it reminds me of being a child in the 70s when the new episodes of Hawaii Five-0 were coming out, when the new episodes of Columbo were coming out. And it's just fantastic. So what's everybody saying here? I never missed a Columbo back in the day. Me neither. Of course, I think the first couple of episodes of Columbo came out before I was even born, but just remember Columbo in the 70s. Laura says, hey, everyone, a little late. Was eating breakfast for dinner, sausage and eggs and potatoes. Wow. All right, Laura, now you've made me hungry. Every thing says, hi, Ed, I've got all Columbos. It's like 90 gigabytes. Oh, my goodness. Do you have that on your computer or on some external hard drive? What do you got there? Everything. And I do have some Columbo episodes on DVDs. I do have that. Shauna says, I've been watching Starsky and Hutch lately. I didn't. It's an interesting show. The car is certainly cool. maybe I might have to check that out. Was not like a big fan of that show back in the day, but maybe I should check it out now that I'm an adult. Charlotte, what channel do they play old Hawaii Five-0 on? I love that. It's a channel called Heroes and Icons channel. Charlotte, and on Fridays, they play 5 Hawaii Five-0 episodes in a row, starting at like 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., something like that. It's on, here I have Frontier Cable, and it has the Heroes and Icons channel. It's H&I. That's what it is. On PC, okay. My mom recorded all the Hawaii Five-0 episodes. Kathy, you had a very smart mother. Very cool. Shauna loves all the old shows from the 70s and 80s. So lots of Columbo episodes have been recorded. Some are going to be recorded here in the future. And I will tell you, I think my favorite Columbo episode is Candidate for a Crime, which the main killer is Jackie Cooper. He's a politician, and he's having an affair, and his campaign manager wants him to stop having the affair. So Jackie Cooper kills his campaign manager and makes it look like somebody was trying to kill Jackie Cooper. It's probably my favorite episode. My other favorite episode, probably the first one, Prescription Murder, is very good. And another one of my favorites is the one directed by Steven Spielberg, not Publisher Perish. I forget what the title of it is now, but that was one of the first ones that was done. And the one with Ruth Gordon in it, she's like a Agatha Christie type of character, and she believes that her niece's husband killed the niece, and so she wants revenge, and she locks him inside her personal safe at her house. That one is fantastic too. Love Ruth Gordon. Love the play between Peter Falk and Ruth Gordon in that episode. So those are some of my favorite Columbo episodes. Maybe if all of you have seen Columbo, maybe as I go here tonight, you want to tell me what your favorite Columbo episodes have been. Laura, I love the original Miami Vice too. Unfortunately, they only play it on the Spanish language channel here. And so I don't know Spanish, so it's a little difficult. But I love the original Miami Vice, the music, the fashion, all of that, fantastic. Where are all the Bionic Woman reruns? They do play those sometimes here, Cherie. They play them locally here on TV, and the $6 Million Man too. Deborah says on Cozy. Yeah, Cozy TV is where they play the Columbo episodes. It's one of the places. Also on IFC, also on the Sundance Channel. Shauna says Rockford Files. Once again, that's not one. Maybe I should start watching that one because it's on once in a while too. Like I have time to watch TV. So, all right. So if you want to let me know what your favorite Columbo episodes are, I know we have a lot of Columbo viewers here. Please let me know the names or descriptions of those episodes if you want to tell me. Otherwise, it's been beautiful here. It has not rained here, I don't know, in at least a week. But it has been absolutely beautiful. I've been getting up. I've been working right out there on the balcony there. Going out at about 10:30 a.m. And there's a plug now out there that works. Somebody came in and fixed it so it wouldn't burn the building down. And so I'm able to plug in my computers out there. I'll sit there in the shade looking out there, writing the script for all the episodes, doing some emailing, doing some editing, doing some research, putting stuff together. I can do it all out there. And I'll be out there till about, 3:30. It starts getting a little toasty out there to work. If I was just lying out there, just sitting out there, it would be different. But when you're trying to work, it gets a little uncomfortable. But then I'll come inside. But from like 11 to 3:30 is absolutely perfect out there. It's been absolutely beautiful. Great working conditions. And I've been trying to take advantage of that. Valerie says, what do you think of Clint Eastwood, especially the movies he directed? Valerie, Um, you know, I think Clint Eastwood is pretty good. But it's not a guarantee for me. I'm not much of a Western, my idea of a cowboy movie or Western movie is Blazing Saddles. Not much into serious cowboy movies. So all of his, the Fistful of Dollars and all of that, not so much into those. I love the Dirty Harry movies. I love them. I loved him and Richard Burton in Where Eagles Dare. That's, I think, a fantastic movie. In fact, I had that DVR too until they took my box away and replaced it with a new one. In The Line of Fire that he was in is good. Him as a director, I'm not a big fan of the movie Unforgiven. Once again, it's a cowboy movie. And $1 Million Baby and all that. And what Mystic River. I don't know. I certainly can applaud him for as old as he is, being able to do everything that he does. That is fantastic. But it's a little bit hit and miss for me with Clint Eastwood. I thought Firefox was an interesting movie. I don't know. Any Which Way You Can, Any Which Way But Loose. I wasn't into that. It's a little hit and miss with me, Clinton Eastwood, but he certainly deserves all the accolades that he's gotten. But both as a director and as an actor, just a little bit, up and down for me. It's raining in Toronto. Sorry to hear that, Shauna. I love the Dirty Harry movies. Yeah. Bridges of Madison County, Deborah. Yeah, with what's her name? Can't think of it right now. I don't know. And I think there are some things maybe about Clint Eastwood that kind of sour me as well. You find out that, how he and Sandra Locke were a couple, and, he was supposed to get her a deal at Paramount or Universal, wherever he had a deal. And then behind the scenes, he really screwed her over. We got a lot of stories like that. And, he's somewhat of a womanizer and all that stuff. But so he seems a little underhanded, a little bit. But from just a movie filmmaker standpoint, just kind of a little bit hit and miss for me. Everything, very good original series. He was a lot younger, Rawhide. Yeah, Meryl Streep. Thank you, Kathy. Joyce. I've seen every movie Clint Eastwood ever made. I loved Every Which Way But Loose. Wow. Okay, Joyce. Like I said, just, he got the gorilla or whatever, monkey, chimpanzee punching people and stuff. It just like I said, a little too crazy. But like I said, the Dirty Harry movies, maybe Escape from Alcatraz wasn't so bad. He was in that movie, The Rookie, with Charlie Sheen. I suppose that, that I don't know, but I still think one of his best movies is the movie he didn't star in, and that was Where Eagles Dare with Richard Burton. That is a fantastic movie. And plus, it's an Iron Maiden song, too. So I had to mention that. All right, let's move on. Let's get to the items for this show now that we are almost 40 minutes in and we're talking about Clint Eastwood and Columbo. As you know, every week I put a poll in the discussion group there on Facebook just to kind of get everybody's reaction. What are you feeling out there? And this is one of those rare weeks where the discussion group, the think tank, and myself all pretty much agree. Of course, this is just our opinions, but our opinions were that Tom, who was Rhonda Smith's fiance at the time, was responsible for her disappearance. The discussion group, it was fairly clear cut. In the think tank, if you don't know what the think tank is, you should go to patreon.com/Unfound Podcast. become part of the discussion, be part of this think tank, the only one of its kind, even though Court TV has ripped off the name. And check that out. If only for $2 a month, you can read all the blogs that I've written concerning the disappearances that we've featured on Unfound. The discussion group said Tom did it. The think tank, for the most part, said Tom did it, but I'm still thinking, I know, Paula, you're in here. You're maybe open to a different idea regarding Rhonda and her stripping. No facts to undermine that idea. And then myself, in the blog that I wrote that ended up being over 4,000 words at Patreon, I also came to the conclusion that Tom was responsible. But let's just say that my reasoning maybe was a little novel. In fact, in the think tank, everybody was saying what their theories were, and I usually go last in the talk. And we all pretty much agreed who did it, but I was the only one with a certain kind of reasoning. And that's always unique because usually, a lot of times I do agree with some members and I agree with their theorizing. This was one of those times where I agreed with them on who did it, but the way I came to my conclusion was totally different. So once again, patreon.com/Unfound Podcast. Another way you can support this podcast, this live show, and everything else we do here. We're very busy. Valerie says, okay, I get it. You like Tombstone, right? I love that movie. You know, Valerie, it's okay. You know, there's just something about cowboy movies that I don't get. I know that they have a certain mystique, of course, in the United States and the Old West and all of that. Sometimes they just go, whoosh. They seem a little boring to me. So I've seen Tombstone. I think it was interesting. Obviously, Val Kilmer stole that movie right from Kurt and the rest of the actors in that movie. But overall, and I think I might even have it on DVD, but I would really, really have to be in a weird mood to put that DVD in. The Beguiled, I saw that too. Charlotte, once again. You know, here's another good movie that he was in, Clint Eastwood, and being that I just mentioned Sandra Locke, The Gauntlet. I thought that was, I like these kind of, of course, Dirty Harry, of course, a series, but here I am mentioning a movie like Where Eagles Dare, where he wasn't even the star, and then The Gauntlet, which is maybe one of his kind of forgotten movies. I thought that movie was really good, but I know The Beguiled as well. Laura, The Beguiled with Geraldine Page, 71, he was young, yeah. Yeah, the Clinton version was way better. Yeah, Deborah, stripping to me is a honest job legal. It is. I agree, Deborah. It's just filled with a lot of risk. Laura, yes, love that movie. Charlotte, oh yes, the Clint Eastwood version was way better for The Beguiled. Okay. So that was the Rhonda Smith poll that the discussion group, the think tank, and myself all agreed, although probably people getting to that answer in different ways. Moving on. And I'm not going to talk too much about this because I did a video on it. But the big news, I think, since last Wednesday is that Brittany Drexel's remains have been found in South Carolina, and a man now is in custody. His name is Raymond Moody. Moody. And I've done a video on it. It's about 28 minutes long. It's like a special edition like I did for Sherry Papini when it came out that we now know that she was lying. I did a special video for that a couple months ago. And when this news came out, I decided that I was going to do a special video just discussing what happened to Brittany and everything that's gone on since. But I will still be doing a regular Unfound Now episode probably a week from now and pick out a very recent disappearance to talk about. So if you haven't watched that, it's open to the public. It's free right on this channel right now. I hope you will check it out. It's about 28 minutes. I do a little speaking like this, and I also go to the map to show where she was, where remains are found, and talking a little bit about, me and my all about the education. So I go through some educational points as well. Now, what I do want to talk about, and I do kind of mention this in the video, is that it does seem to me that there was a racial component to her disappearance for a long time. In that a certain group of guys who are not white, I believe they were black, were believed to have harmed her, and they told a lot of stories and telling on each other and saying that, yeah, she was taken to this drug house and all of that. And I will tell you, and these stories came out well before Unfound ever got started. But even then, I think maybe these stories do go back to 2012, 2013, something like that. It always seemed really, really far-fetched to me. But it certainly got a lot of play. You can go back to like Web Sleuths. As you can imagine, on Web Sleuths, there's page after page after page after page after page going back to 2009, discussing Brittany Drexel's disappearance. Of course, it was a disappearance until recently. I think most people believed that she was dead, but nobody had been charged. Her remains hadn't been found. So it was a disappearance, technically a disappearance until recently. But if you go to Web Sleuths, for example, or Reddit, you will see that there was a huge racial component to this, and a lot of people believing that these non-white guys did this and what they were talking. And once again, it never seemed believable to me. All these people together, that she got taken to this house and she was gang raped, and then she was fed to alligators, on and on and on. And it just seemed totally outrageous. And now that I do Unfound, and we're 250 disappearances in, and we have some of those disappearances that have been solved, and we see how most of the time the resolutions are fairly straightforward. Maybe we got a little surprised with Crystal Morrison. Maybe we got a little surprised with Esther Westenbarger, but I wouldn't say in any of these that we were, completely blown out of the water. These very complex conspiracy. We've had nothing like that yet, despite what some Tom Brown people want to try to convince us, tell us. And, we're learning more and more that these things are fairly straightforward. What else I think we have learned over the almost the last 6 years, if you've been with Unfound since the beginning, or if you've gone back and watched or listened, I guess, to all of the episodes, is that how people who are in jail should never be believed. And when I mean never, I mean never. They will say anything. And that's what has gone on in Brittany's investigation for quite a long time. And that's where I think all of the finger pointing at non-white guys got started. And now, on top of that, we now know, kind of where this got started, but it seems it should have gone nowhere, but it didn't. We now know that there was at least a picture. It's probably a video of Brittany walking down the street, and she is walking toward a group of black men who are coming toward her. And I think that is where it all got started. Now, surely, if that video showed them attacking her and taking her away, and they were able to identify these people, which they surely would have been able to, then I think this would have been solved a long time ago. But I think what happened is that some people knew about this video or these pictures and just started talking, just started creating something out of nothing. Once again, I think because of their race. Now, I will admit that anytime you have a disappearance like this and you have a woman walking down the street and she passes a bunch of guys and then she goes missing, yeah, it makes all the sense in the world to try to figure out, well, maybe being that those guys saw this woman walking by herself, maybe we got to figure out who these guys were and see what they did after they passed her. All the sense in the world. That's a good investigation technique. I can't argue with that. No matter what race these men are, I don't care. But it should have ended at that. But it didn't. And in fact, even today, you're going to see it if you are out there. You'll see some people who are claiming that, you know what, Raymond Moody really didn't do this. This is all cover up because of this, because of that, because of things that are going on in the United States for the last few years, because of Black Lives Matter, everything on and on and on. This is just a cover up to blame it on a white guy when a bunch of black guys really did it. It's disgusting. It is disgusting. I hate it. But you'll see it out there. Whereas what we know about disappearances is that, unfortunately, that this is how it usually happens. It's not a group of men who attack a woman and take her away and gang rape her or anything else. It's usually just one guy doing something to one woman. No different than what, for example, happened to Morgan Harrington, if all of you remember that. She was walking along on that campus in Virginia. That guy came along. Maybe he forced her into his car, or maybe he lured her into his car, and all by himself, he raped and murdered her. Luckily, he got caught. This is much more common than any sort of group activity. Now, on top of that, as I discussed in the video, Brittany's murder is rare in that it was stranger on stranger crime. This guy did not know her. She did not know him. He surely was cruising along looking for a woman who was by herself to pick her up, force her into her car, whatever happened. I don't know if we'll actually ever know exactly what did happen. But that's surely what he was doing. But the racial component that got into this case over the years, it was disgusting. And now what you know is they've been looking at this guy, this white guy, Raymond Moody, since like 2012. And as I stated in the video, he lived just like 2 miles from where her remains were found, which should teach us something about disappearances in general. If we believe that a person was killed, usually those remains are going to be found pretty close. A lot of times, the remains are going to be found pretty close to where the suspect lives, as we know with Dennis Bowman, as we know with Carlos Rodriguez, as examples. But you had to, having followed Brittany's case since it happened in 2009, you always think, are these things ever going to be solved? And finally it has. Now, what we don't know right now, and as I state in the video that I made, is that we don't know why this happened. What changed? He's been on the law enforcement radar for a long time. What changed between then and now? I don't know. Did he talk to somebody who came forward and says, I think you'll find Brittany's remains here? Maybe. Did he grow a conscience? Seems unlikely. We just don't know how this all came about. I'm hoping we find out. That would be helpful to the rest of us who study disappearances, instead of it just being, a big question mark, because it's a question mark right now. But I'd certainly like to know how it all finally came together, how they charged him. Did they charge him and then he finally admitted where her remains are? I really don't know. But that disappearance has now come to an end. I don't know if Raymond Moody is going to plead not guilty. Does he want to get a trial? Is he going to try to get some deal? I don't know. But I am very sure that they have the right person in custody. And all this talk of all of these other scenarios with young men who aren't white and all of that, all crap. Now, maybe as you're all thinking about this, you're maybe thinking about what has gone on in the Tom Brown disappearance for the last 6 months with Phil Klein and others taking so seriously what that kid in jail has said about a gambling ring and everything. Same thing. You should never believe anybody in jail. You should never do that. Nothing. Never. It never comes true. But I think law enforcement does that because I think they're under pressure to do that. They're just grasping at straws. They maybe feel like guilty of themselves. They're afraid, well, what if this guy is actually telling the truth? I just wouldn't listen to all of it. Any of it. None of it. It's just amazing how much we hear about that in disappearances and maybe other, and I'm, I really don't follow murders or anything, unsolved murders, but I'm sure they hear it over there too. And it's the same way. Lots of people talking and all the talking goes nowhere. And any investigator should know that. Here's what I know. There are many more ex-wives and ex-girlfriends of criminals who are rolling over and telling the truth about their exes and getting those exes in trouble than there are men in jail who are helping law enforcement solve crimes. That's what I think I know. So Brittany Drexel's case finally comes to an end with, I believe, the right person being charged. Deborah says, absolutely disgusting. It is. Jill says, sup, as she always does when she comes in. Sup to you, Jill. Sup. What's up? And for everybody wondering, that means that is the shortening of the two words, what's up. Sup to you, Jill. So Brittany Drexel, if you'd like a more complete discussion by myself, talk by myself regarding everything that's gone on with Brittany's case over the years, please watch the video, give it a thumbs up. You know what to do. Moving on. Unfound is now in a new place. This was suggested to me by my trusted assistant, Cherie. And she said, you really should get on TikTok. I was like, okay. So what are we going to do? So it's like, well, what are we going to do with it? And she said, thank you for posting that, Cherie. And, I really wasn't sure what to do with it, but Cherie gave me the idea. Well, just go on TikTok, start an account, and here's what you're going to do. You're going to do the intro so that, that beginning of every, how the episode starts out. We don't start with music on Unfound as most other podcasts do. Podcasts start out with me talking and then the music comes in, which is, you should know, I got that from some other podcast, not a true crime one, that I was listening to, and I still once in a while listen to it. Back at the time in 2016, I thought, all these other shows out there, podcasts, they start right with the music and then the host starts talking. But there are a couple out there where the host starts and then the music comes in later. It's like you set everything up for like 30 seconds and then the music starts. I said, I really like that. So what I'm going to do with the TikTok videos every week is you are going to get that intro, that first 30 seconds before the music really comes in loud. And you're also going to get those 3 questions that I always include in the summary at the beginning. You know me, I always like to give you something to think about as you're listening to the interview. And so I'm going to combine the intro with those 3 questions, and it's going to be in video. And I will post that. The one for this week's already up. But I think in the future, it's probably going to be maybe like the day before or 2 days before. So you will get a preview of that. You'll get the intro and those 3 questions to kind of give you an idea of where this episode is going to go. So if you're on TikTok, follow. If you like to get that preview, kind of get you thinking even well before the episode comes out, then please join us on TikTok. We only have a few followers. Of course, the account just got started yesterday. We don't even have a lot of followers on Twitter either, but I got to admit that I don't necessarily think of Unfound's audience as a big Twitter crowd anyway, but we're there. But here's what I can assure you regarding TikTok. You're not going to be seeing me doing any dancing or lip syncing there. All right. That's not going to happen. It's going to be 1 video a week, and it's going to be the intro and those 3 questions in video. You'll get to see me, and I hope you will like it. I hope you'll follow it, like it, share it, do all those things that the kids do these days. Cherie gives the big sigh. That's funny, Cherie. Cherie says we have 15 followers in 24 hours. It's good. Cherie, Suzanne, you're welcome. You all go follow. If you're on TikTok, don't let me down. Great idea, Cherie. I went over there today. Thank you, Twinkle. Thank you, everything. No lip syncing. The only, I don't do any lip syncing, the real. I'm into karaoke, but I haven't done that recently. I would really like to start maybe doing some of that again, because I can sing a little bit. We'll just have to see. But no lip syncing, certainly no dancing. But so it's something new. So now we're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and now TikTok. So check that out. And thank you, Cherie, for the recommendation, the suggestion. The Real says no air guitar. I do play air guitar. All right, but I don't lip sync. Being that we're talking about Clint Eastwood, The Real, a man's got to know his limitations. Richard, I have a nice ES335 Gibson if you're looking for a nice axe. I have a guitar, Richard. It is a, what is it? It's over in the other room. I'm not going to go get it. Coincidentally, it's in the colors of Unfound, red and black. I've had it for about a year. I tinker around with it once in a while. It is an electric guitar. I have a little amp for it. And I also have an acoustic guitar, which it's just over there. I don't think you can see it. It's like right up next to the arcade games. So what is it? It's not an Epiphone, Richard. It's a Squire is what it is. It's a cheap. So that's like a cheap Gibson, right? Or it's a cheap Fender. Cheap Fender is what it is, Richard. A Squire. That's what I have. I got it for like, with the amp, I got it all for like $350 or something. Cherie says TikTok has a whole demographic we don't want to leave out. Yeah, it's TikTok certainly, I think, does have a younger crowd on there. So we'll see what happens there, Cherie. Thank you for bringing that up. Richard said, and a Mesa Boogie to go with it. I have the pedals, Richard. I have like a distortion pedal and a couple other things to go with it. I love messing around with it, but I'm far from ready to ever play in a band or anything. Once again, who has the time? There's hope for change. Hooray, made it tonight. Was listening during drive. I really like the Zoom format you have now. Thank you very much. It's working out really well, the Zoom format. I'm enjoying it. I think the guests have not minded being seen on video. Maybe they have to pretty themselves up a little bit beforehand, but it's working. And the audio is coming out good. The video is coming out good. And so this is once again one of Cherie's recommendations. She's hitting Shree is hitting on all cylinders so far in 2022. And thank you for that donation, the super chat donation. There's hope. You are very generous. Thank you so much. Moving on. We have to move on to something very sad. We had another of Unfound's guests die. She passed away from cancer. Her name is Tonya Washburn. She was the guest for the April Andrews episode, which I think was from 2019. She was April's half sister, and unfortunately, she died just a few days ago. Had not talked to Tonya in quite a long time. No particular reason. We were friends on Facebook. I was following. I knew she was going through some things. And probably, I would tell you just with social media in general, outside of Unfound and knowing these people as guests and everything, it's so weird to know people and then they pass away and you can see, them, what they were writing, a month ago, 6 months ago. And, maybe when they first found out that they had cancer, that they were going in for this test and they were going to go chemo and everything. And then, going back to read that and you know that, they didn't survive it. They're going in hoping they're going to live a lot longer and they're doing this and doing that. And then that it didn't all work out. It's very weird. It's I don't know. And I suppose if we all stay on social media for the rest of our lives, that's going to happen to all of us too. We're going to be talking about this. We're going to be talking about that. And maybe we're going to be diagnosed with cancer and going to be talking about going and then, to get treatment. And then we're not going to survive. And everybody will be looking at our prior posts about how we're going to do this. And we're going to try to stop it here, but I'm feeling good today and all that. Or maybe in some other cases, some of us are going to die very quickly, like in a car wreck. And we'll be going back and reading posts about how I'm planning to do this today. And we know that they never got there because they got sideswiped at an intersection. So, but I was going back on Tonya's page today and reading about, just how she was feeling good this day and, people concerned about her and what she's going through. And now she's not here anymore. I think the word surreal is really, really overdone in the 21st century. I think people just say that when they don't have anything else to say. But that is certainly how I feel when I start thinking about that. We have all these plans and everything, and then other things happen. Shree says, always fun creating new ideas. Carrie says, TikTok brings an entire new type of listener. It's working by leaps and bounds for some families. Yeah. Make it to 16 after the episode. Thank you, Carrie. Thinks Ed should totally dance and point to points to ponder. Not going to do that, Carrie. So that is Unfound's 6th guest who has died. I'm going to go through the list right now if any of you are not familiar with all of the other people. And I think I will name them in the order in which they passed away. First, of course, was Jessica Curtis in October of 2018. Donna Jean Kapp. She was for Jessica Curtis, of course, was for Tyler Stace's episode, his sister. Donna Jean Kapp, sister of Dorian Myers, died, I think, in November of 2019. Then we had Janice Norwood, mother of Kimberly Norwood, who died in 2020. We had Vicki Wilkerson, who died, mother of, oh my gosh. Can't remember her first name, blanking, but she was mother of, I know Kathy or somebody's going to point out her name to me. Jennifer Wilkerson. How can I forget that? Jennifer Wilkerson. Thank you, Cherie. Yeah, mother of Jennifer Wilkerson. That was one that, kind of came out of nowhere. I just talked to Vicky so much after she had been on Unfound. Just very sad. Fantastic woman, funny, and then of course late last year we had the um death of Katie Lancaster, sister-in-law of Megan Lancaster. We know Katie, uh, just very zealous advocate for her sister-in-law and finding out what happened to Megan. And um, it was very odd that, Katie and Mike Moran died so close together because they were certainly enemies. But they both died toward the end of last year. And now we have Tonya Washburn, the half sister of April Andrews, who died from cancer just a few days ago. Just, it hurts every time. And, I never met any of these people in person. Certainly, I wouldn't say how well I got to know them. Maybe some a little better than others. I certainly got to know Vicky Wilkerson very well, as much as I talked to her. Katie, I got to know her fairly well. Donna Jean and I talked for a long time before she was ever on Unfound. But Janice Norwood, just talked to her a little bit. Jessica, got to know her a little bit. In fact, I talked to her just a couple days before she committed suicide. But Tonya, I had not spoken to her a while, but still, it hurts all the same. These people, I was talking to them about their missing loved one, and now they're not here. So, like I said, hurts every time. I'm man enough to admit that when I found out about this, there were a few tears. So, just very sad. Thank you, Boston. Thank you, Valerie. Thanks, Sheree, for that. Everything says live for today as tomorrow's not promised. True. Yeah, Sheree. Also, Michelle Cole for Brandy. Yeah, I was just including guests. That's a big one though too, Sheree, certainly. But Ellen, Brandy's mother, was actually the guest for that one. But yeah, yeah, that's true, Sheree. Okay. Moving on, the Tara Grinstead trial is happening. I have to admit, I've just kind of been reading some news stories here and there, catching bits and pieces. Sheree, I don't think, has been maybe following it that close either. I think everybody's so caught up in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. There's only so many hours in a day to watch all of this stuff. But Ryan Duke is giving it his best shot. He got up on the stand. He claims that he didn't kill Tara Grinstead. He's saying it cleansed the boat. I guess what I'm saying here is each is telling the opposite story. Bo Dukes is saying that Ryan killed her, and then Ryan came to get Bo. And now Ryan says that Bo killed Tara, and Bo came to get Ryan. Is there anything to rule out that they just didn't do this all together, that they were both together at the same time there and both went into her place and killed her and took her away? No. But they're giving it that, Bo Dukes, of course, has gone to jail. It would be hard for me to imagine that Ryan Duke doesn't get the same. But like I said, I've not been following it by every second. The only thing I will say here, and this is probably something that confused me and kind of brushing up on the topic for tonight's live show, is that in one of the articles, it actually said that Tara's remains were found. It actually said that. And I've always been under the impression that her remains were not found, that Ryan and Bo had burnt her to the point that she was ashes. Maybe somebody who knows all of this a little bit better than I do. That kind of really just jumped out on me. It's like, wait a minute. So maybe somebody can, explain that to me. Were her remains? Now we know what we call remains. They had to have been identified, some DNA or something. It said in this article that her remains were found. So can anybody verify that? Did the article get it wrong? Because I've been under the impression for years that she wasn't found. And that this is kind of like Teresa Butler's disappearance, where going back to that situation where the guy said, "Oh yeah, Teresa Butler overdosed and I felt like I would get in trouble for being there, so I took her body and I stuck her under the sink, and then later I took the body out and I did this and I did that, and then I poured her ashes in this, the sewer beside the road." If anybody doesn't know about that, that was something that came out. What was it, last year, the year before? I don't believe a word of it, but the guy who claimed that he did this is now in jail in Missouri. I don't, I still under the impression that Teresa Butler is still out there. Her skeleton is out there somewhere. That's me. But Ryan Duke and Bo Dukes, it's so weird that their names are only so close. I thought that the story was that they got rid of her totally and nothing. So I didn't know what to make of that article. So that's why I'm throwing it out to all of you. Carrie says, that is one reason I use caution in what I post. I want to leave a legacy of inspiration, not drama. Okay, going back to what I was saying. Thank you, Carrie. Stitching, where you been? Where you been, Stitching? Hi, y'all. Sure, exactly. Usually I can keep up with a couple of trials at a time, but I've been consumed with the movie. I mean, the Depp Heard trial. Okay. Richard Jones, I saw Megan Lancaster's missing sign with Megan's photos on it a week ago when I was up in Portsmouth, Ohio. Well, I'm glad they're up. Maybe that gives me hope that somebody has taken up for Katie and all of this, Richard. Thank you for letting us know. That's news to me. Twinkle, April Dawn Andrews, the episode came out on March 6th, 2020. So right as COVID was beginning to start in the United States. It's a good way to remember that. Thank you, Twinkle. Twinkle. That's funny. Stitching, no, the remains were never found. Stitching says, Paula, listening to the Depp trial all day. I'm practicing my note-taking skills, so I'm ready for the Carlos Rodriguez trial. Good for you, Paula. And Sheree laughs at that. Do whatever Camille does. Just do what Camille does, who is the defense attorney, I guess, for Johnny. Once again, I'm throwing this out to all of you. That is it. And I know, thank you, Stitching, for already answering, but I'd like to get some confirmation from some other people. Your understanding of the Tara Grinstead trial. Did you know that her remains were found and identified? Because that is news to me. And I read that from some, reputable site that's been covering all of this for a while. So I don't know what to think of that. If that's a mistake, that's a huge mistake. Twinkle says, laughing, I used to have a username of Twinkie. I love Twinkies. I don't eat them anymore. But I love Twinkies, so that's kind of cool, Twinkle. Carrie, I fully believe that when a family member of missing persons pass, they truly get all the answers they always craved. That's fine if you want to, I'm not here to get into belief systems. I stay away from that, Carrie, but that's fine. Paula, I did not, but it's been a minute since I've read much about Tara. Okay, Paula, thank you. So I'm just going to keep that out there. Maybe somebody afterwards will watch this in the rerun and put something in the comments section about that, because I know there have been many people who have really, really followed Tara's disappearance since the beginning. I did that as well, but I really don't necessarily follow any particular disappearance that closely these days. It's a little hard to do. Even if I'm listening to the Jody Huisentrude podcast or whatever, it's hard to keep up on everything when I have Unfound's own disappearances to be educated on. Jasmine, I never heard her remains were found. Okay, thank you, Jasmine. Moving on. Let's skip down to this. That plane crash. Remember back in March? You know how much I love to talk about plane crashes and the reasons that they happen, and how I've often said that, if you really get into studying plane crashes, there's a lot you can learn from that you can apply to disappearances. Why? Because in plane crashes, you learn that it's just not one thing that causes a plane crash. It's a lot of things that come together in a particular way that cause a plane crash. It's never just one thing. In disappearances, I think we're learning the same thing. It doesn't matter if it turns out that the disappearance is a suicide or an accident or even a murder, whether it's a suicide like Devin Bonds or an accident like Esther Westenbarger's or a murder like Zoe Campus's. In all of those, it was a multitude of things that came together for the disappearance, that death to happen. And so, given that I was interested in plane crashes, I still am. Going for a lot of years, I've been able to use that and bring it into the disappearance sphere and how I look at disappearances. And back in March, I talked about this China Eastern flight 5735, that was just going along up at 35,000 feet or whatever. And all of a sudden it did this right down into the ground. And there are even a couple videos of it, not necessarily hitting the ground, but being very close to the ground. And then you see like the fire, the plume of smoke and everything. And shortly afterwards, it was determined that the plane technically didn't go down like this. It kind of did this. It was flying along, then went down, and then it seemed like it kind of pulled out of it for a little bit and then went down again. And if you'll remember, when I talked about this a couple months ago on a live show, I said that it looks to me very much like a pilot suicide. Now, pilots committing suicide with passengers on board is rare, but it does happen. Okay, it does happen. In fact, I can think of 3 or 4 just off the top of my head. We had that German Wings one where the guy locked the other pilot out of the cockpit and took over and just put it to 0 and it ran into the mountain. We had that Egypt Air flight from New York. This is way back when I lived in Las Vegas. I mean, way back, 1999 or something. They crashed up, into the Atlantic Ocean. That was certainly a suicide, even though Egypt said it was a mechanical failure. It wasn't. We had a Silk Air flight where a guy, the pilot, was on deep in debt and everything else, and he essentially just flipped the plane over, and it went down like that. Instead of going like nose over like this, the pilot flipped it over and went down that way. So it does happen, but of course it's rare. But I told you back then that I pretty much, this had the feeling of a pilot suicide. And now it's now coming out, looking at the data, listening to the recorder, that this was intentional. This was intentional. So, and a couple people have even sent me messages. Hey, Ed, did you see this? And my response is, I know my plane crashes. You know what? You have to remember this. This is something that I think we as humans don't totally understand. We always hear these statements like, well, a mother, she would have never left her kids. That father would have never left his kids. That person would have never done this. Well, this person would have never done that. Well, we would normally think that, certainly if people are feeling suicidal, that they wouldn't want to take a bunch of people with each other, with themselves either. Now, maybe we can look at something like September 11th, where it was terrorism, and these, of course, we know the reasons and I'm not talking the political reasons and what can I say about that? They wanted to do something, and to do that, they needed jets, and the jets had people on them. It wasn't necessarily about killing the people, the passengers in the jets. It was about something else. But when we get to these situations of pilots who are suicidal and they take the passengers with them, we wouldn't think that anybody would actually ever do that. We think of suicides. We think of people hanging themselves. We think of people jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. We think of people shooting themselves. We maybe even think of situations of what we call suicide by cop. A guy does something, he gets chased by cops, and he wants the cops to chase him, and then he stops, he jumps out of the car, he acts like he has the gun, and the cops are forced to shoot. We know suicide by cop. We know people do that, and it's all horrible, it's all sad, but we know that there are people who think about doing that, and suicide is a part of life. But being that there will be people on this earth who want to commit suicide and choose to take others with them, this is why we can never rule out anything when it comes to people making decisions and making horrible decisions. That mother would never leave her children. Well, if a pilot who's committing suicide decides, you know what, I want to commit suicide, and you know what, I'm going to take like 150 people with me. If a person can decide to do that, then any person can decide to do anything in this life. And I guess it's a risk we all take if we choose to fly. But we know that flying is the safest way to travel. Airlines all around the world, the reputable ones, including China Eastern, I think they try to look at the pilots, do psychological profiles, make sure that they're getting their proper training. They going through any issues. They ask other pilots, hey, you flew with this guy or this woman. Is he okay? How did you get along with them? All of this is he following all the procedures? Did he say anything weird? Airlines do this. But it seems that this guy, at least one of these guys who was in this, I think it was two, pilot, co-pilot, both men, one of them slipped through the cracks at China Eastern. And I think the way you should look at that is that the plane started down, and probably what happened is the other pilot was like, what are you doing? And trying to pull the plane. So the plane didn't go straight down. It went like this, and then kind of went like that, and then went down again. And you might be able to determine that what happened was it started going like this. The other pilot is trying to stop it. He's trying to pull up. The other guy's pulling down. And then he just loses the battle, and it goes straight into the ground. That's kind of what happened in the Egypt Air flight too, is that the one pilot decided he was going to take himself and the plane into the water. And another pilot got in there, tried to stop it, couldn't stop it. Now, you should also know, on the other hand, there have been instances where pilots have tried to crash planes and other people were successful at stopping. There's a very well-known FedEx flight where a guy was just kind of in the jump seat getting a ride. Well, he'd already decided that he was going to take this plane to commit suicide. And he went into the cockpit, tried to take over, and that these guys had to fight with him in the plane and keep him from crashing the plane. So that happens too. So that's the most recent information regarding Flight 5735, that this was intentional. I have not seen, there's been some rumors out there maybe for a month about one of the pilots, something going on, that he had gotten some bad marks in his piloting or something like that. I don't know if that's true or not. That's why I haven't talked about it. It seems like some internet rumors. But now that this news has come out, we may finally find out that this was some type of suicide. We'll find out exactly what they think the reasons, that this person did that. So Jasmine has not heard about Tara's remains being found. Carrie has not either. Carrie says, I think Ryder assumed when Ryan and Bo said they burned her to ashes. Okay. Shelly, the Bermuda Triangle must really get your mind going. Shelly, really not really. I think the Bermuda Triangle was a certain story that people wanted to tell. I just, I don't know. I got into it as a kid in search of and everything, but as an adult, I'm not sure there are any more plane crashes or anything else there than anywhere else on the earth. I really don't know. Kathy says Stephen Paddock, right? Thank you, Kathy. MT says pilot suicide. One more reason I am scared of flying. One of my college roommates lost her parents to murder suicide. It was impossible to get my head around when I found out. Yeah. Kathy doesn't like to fly. Yeah. Stephen Paddock was the FedEx one, right, Kathy? He was the guy that tried to bring down this FedEx flight. Yeah. So if there any more information comes out about that, you will see me talk about it in an upcoming live show, I'm sure. But it does seem that I got that one right. I'm usually pretty good with these. Just looking at the flight data. Given once again, besides a bunch of disappearances that are now up in this filing cabinet of mine, there's also a bunch of plane crashes up here that I can easily access. Oh, Kathy, the Las Vegas shooter. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He just showed up, wanted to go out in a blaze of glory. And of course, I wrote about him recently. I don't know if I ever used his name, though, Kathy. Okay, maybe I did. So moving on, we got about a half hour left, and I wanted to cover this. I've told you that this live show is going to be changing, and it's going to happen. Just to tell all of you, I know we've gotten very comfortable here, this little family of ours on Wednesday nights, but I've decided that on June 6th, which is what? It'll be 2 weeks from this coming Monday or 3 weeks from this preceding Monday, this last Monday. I'm going to be moving the live show to Monday nights, same time. But in addition, this is going to become more of a true crime news show than technically me talking about unfound stuff. As you know, I've done that tonight. Of course, I talked about the Smith poll. I've talked about TikTok. I've talked about, of course, the very sad death of Tonya Washburn. But this show, it's going to change a little bit, and it's just time. I talked about this a few weeks ago. I've had now a chance to think about it a little more. So it's going to be moving to Mondays. If that inconvenience some of you, I deeply apologize. But it's going to change to Monday nights. It's still going to be 9 o'clock. But it's going to become more like Brittany Drexel news or the Tara Grinstead news or the flight news. I'm going to stick almost exclusively to true crime news that is out there, that is happening on a week-by-week basis. So I would talk about, in a lot more depth, the Tara Grinstead trial or any other trials that are coming up or any sort of unsolved murders, any sort of disappearances, anything that catches my eye. I'm probably going to still do a lot of the personal stuff at the beginning, but anything that is involving Unfound, anything new, anything talking about the poll from the previous week, anything new like regarding TikTok, anything regarding any deaths that people need to know about, anything like that, any sort of updates like that, all of that is now going to be moved to the Friday episode. So we're going to have exclusively Unfound stuff on the episodes. and then exclusively non-unfound stuff on the live show. And the reason I'm going to do that is because, as I've stated before, once again, I've had a chance to think about this and really knock this around my head for a while, that I'm going to turn this live show, the new live show, into a podcast itself. So we'll have the disappearances. Of course, the show on Friday is going to continue as it was, although the news section is going to be a little bigger, and probably there's going to be some tinkering with the format there. It's still going to start out the same and all of that, but I'll have to work on that a little bit to figure out what I really want to do there. But that's all going to be there. And some of this other stuff that I talk about here is going to be here, but it's going to be on Monday nights. And I'm going to take the audio of this. This will still be video. All of us are still going to get together. Anybody who chooses to do so will be done. But then I'm going to take the audio of this and turn it into a podcast. So when the show is done on Monday nights, on Tuesday, this will come out as a podcast. And it will be in your feed just as you are subscribed to Unfound, whether it's through Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever else, however you get the regular podcast. That is going to be part now. So you'll get a podcast on Tuesday. It's also convenient, being that if you miss the live show, you're automatically going to get it in your feed the next day. So you won't have to come to YouTube and everything. It'll just be audio, of course. So you'll get the audio the next day, and then you'll get your Friday episode on Friday. And none of that's going to change, although those episodes may get a little longer because I want to talk about some more unfound stuff, because that's the way I think that this is all going to grow. All right. The issue is I want to bring more and more people into the news side of this because there are things to learn. That's why I cover some of these news stories. I pick things out that we can talk about because they're educational. And that's a very important part to me. And sometimes, with all the disappearances we cover, maybe there's not really a chance to say some of the things that I want to say. Whereas there are things going on out there in true crime land that can be used. In addition, I think that this is a high quality show. I'm going to continue to say that. I know you all enjoy it. And we just, we've kind of stagnated in viewers. Despite me, marketing it and advertising it and talking about it and everything else. So I have to start thinking, well, why is that? And so I just need to get this show in front of more eyeballs, in front of more ears. And so that's how I'm going to do it. Now, eventually what I'm going to do, probably this summer, they will both be in the same feed. So it'll be Friday disappearance episode, Tuesday news show. Friday episode, Tuesday news show. Then probably by this fall, after I've kind of gotten into that rhythm and people know what this new thing is, I will probably just make it into its totally separate feed, which is something that I can do with Spotify for free. So that is the plan. That is the way I think that this is going to go. The other reason is that, Mondays are a little bit of a slow day for me generally anyway. And so Monday is a good, and plus it splits up the week. Friday, and this will come out, the Monday night show kind of splits it up, but the audio will come out on Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday, Friday, Tuesday. In contrast, if I were to just leave this on Wednesday, it would be the audio version of this comes out on Thursday, and then the regular episode comes out on Friday. It's too close together. It doesn't give people time to maybe listen to the first one, because they really want to listen to the second one. Whereas I split it up like that, it'll give people enough time to listen to the Tuesday, the live show, the news show, if they want to listen to it. And I'm going to try to make it as interesting as possible. And then by the time they're done, digesting that, then the episode for Friday will come out. And then they'll have a chance to listen to the Friday episode. And what do you know? It'll be Tuesday again, then Friday again. But each of them will be different enough that, won't be bombarding everybody with the same thing. So that's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm just going to continue to call it Unfound Live, but it's going to be, like I said, a true crime news show. In contrast to me talking about stuff that's going on in Unfound. And I'm going to move that, like I said, to the Friday episodes, but I'm going to probably have to mess around a little bit with that as well. I'm still going to take your questions. Questions will still be, of course, we didn't have any tonight, but I still want to answer all your questions with the new show. I'll be putting it out on Mondays. If you want to have any questions you want me to answer, I'll gladly answer to them. If you want to ask me some unfound questions, I will answer them. I will, for sure, 100%. But that's what we're going to be doing. And that's the way, I can tell you right now, I'm going to probably find some offbeat crime stories. I've kind of included a few of those in the last couple weeks. Like I had a week where what was the duck that solved a murder. I had that one week, and then a guy who killed his wife or his girlfriend, and he died while he was digging her grave in his backyard or something. Probably going to be, happening on some of those types of stories, and then more serious stuff. So be prepared for that. And for some of you, I feel sad if you have to work on Monday nights or you have things already going on Monday nights, but that's what's going to happen. The good news is that automatically on Tuesday, you will get at least an audio version of this in your feed that you're subscribed to already. Nothing will change there. It'd just be like, oh, I got something here on a Tuesday and instead of on Friday. Well, you're going to get something on Friday too. Just wanted to let you know, but that's going to happen June 6th, 2022. That'll be just after I come back from going to Kelly Bruce's wedding in Georgia. Yes, I've been invited. Yes, I'm going. Yes, I'm going by myself. And I just feel so honored. I was supposed to play in a disc golf tournament that weekend, but she invited me, and I was so honored to even be invited that I said, I got to go. So I dumped the tournament, and I'm going to drive the 7 hours up to Georgia to go to Kelly Bruce's wedding. I've never met Kelly in person before, but I'm really, really looking forward to it. Moving on, one more thing, maybe a couple more things. We'll just have to see. I've gotten this question before about serial killers and disappearances. Well, I can pretty much tell you, I don't know, I never want to guarantee everything. I like to underpromise than overdeliver. That we are going to be covering at least a couple disappearances that are connected, that were surely committed by a serial killer. And the way I understand it, the serial killer is not that well known. But these are disappearances. Now, one of his victims was found, but these other victims who he surely killed have not been found. And I've already had a discussion with the son of one of them, and I'm going to be having a couple conversations over the next couple days with the son and daughter of another victim. And so I'm hoping that, this summer, I'll have maybe 2 or 3 episodes, disappearances, although they will be separated by a Friday, one Friday, another Friday, that were all committed by the same guy. So for all of you I know have asked me in the past, What about serial killers? Do you think any of these disappearances that you've covered have been committed by serial killers? We have at least one. Um, Gerard Schaefer uh, surely was responsible for one of the disappearances that we've covered. But this is going to be go a lot deeper, a little more complete than that. So if you're wondering, we're going to, and I'm not much of a serial killer guy. I got into the original Night Stalker for a long time, but then kind of got away from that once I started Unfound. But we'll be talking about a particular serial killer, not once, but probably a few times this summer. I'm really looking forward to it. What's everybody saying here? The real wow, that is something. Okay, talking about that. 50 Shades says, we wasn't sure what you were going to say for a second there. What was that? I know it's going back several minutes now, 50 Shades. But I wonder what I started out and you thought I was going in a different direction. Cherie says, June 6, 2022 seems lucky to me. And Boston says, is clapping. Thank you for the heavy metal signs, Cherie. I want to talk about this very quickly. It has to do with sex trafficking. I'm just going to read this article to you. And once again, this would be the type of article that will be included in the new version of the show in a few weeks. This is from Dallas. A 15-year-old girl from North Richland Hills is now home after being abducted by a man at an April 8th, so just within the last month or so, Dallas Mavericks game at American Airlines Center. But the family still seeks answers and is charging the Mavs, the AAC, that's the American Airlines Center, and Dallas police for not acting swiftly enough regarding the crime, which had the girl as part of a sex trafficking operation. She was gone missing a total of 11 days, attorney Zeke Fortenberry said. Our intent is that the way the aforementioned organizations are on notice that we're pursuing claims against them for their negligence and other causes of action. Fortenberry said the teen's father informed police at the game when he realized she was missing, but according to the attorney, the father was told to report the allegations to his hometown North Richland Hills police. There's that hot potato syndrome. Fortenberry claims NHR police said they weren't able to help because the incident occurred in Dallas. The attorney said it was the Houston-based human trafficking agency Texas Counter-Trafficking Initiative that worked to find the missing girl, who was being held in an Oklahoma City motel, so in a totally different state. Dallas police told WFAA that they followed protocol and that they aided North Richland police in the search. The Mavs responded publicly on April 20th after the girl was found, the team releasing the following statement. The American Airlines Center and the Dallas Mavericks are grateful that the teenager has been found. Both entities will continue to cooperate with local and regional law enforcement on this case. Now, they don't put a lot of details in that article, but here's additional details that I got from some other sources. This 15-year-old girl and her father went to this game. She said she had to go to the restroom and didn't come back. And what it showed, a video then later when the father realized that his daughter was gone, they looked at video and showed that seemingly she willingly left the game with a guy, I think he was in his 40s. Left the game with this guy, never to return. Now, the way the guy even got into the game, and this is where I think the Dallas Mavericks and the American Airlines Center are going to get in a lot of trouble, is that the guy got into the game with a fake ticket. Now, you would think with today's technology, I've been to some concerts and they scan you and they do this and they do that, and we even know like getting on a plane these days that how stringent they are making sure that everything is right. It amazes me that here's a guy who is a sex offender, certainly. a criminal, certainly. This is surely not his first time. And he gets into this game with a fake ticket. Now, here's what I will also say, though. That this does not, an NBA game does not seem like what I would call a target rich atmosphere for predators and sex traffickers. It seems to me, and I'm not, a big NBA fan, but I think you could say this about most sports, that more men go than women. Women are into sports too. I know that. And women sometimes go by themselves. But most of the times, the audience is going to be like 75%. The crowd is going to be like 75% men. So what kind of sex trafficker goes to a game where 75% of the crowd is not even in the demographic? And even with the women, it's going to be, most of these women, a lot of these women are going to be like 25, 30, 40 years old. So what are the odds that this guy goes to this game and just happens to find this 15-year-old that just happens to be going to the restroom and just happens to go with him leaving the venue? I will tell you, this seems to me like this was set up. I got to tell you, that this guy would have a fake ticket and just be able to meet this girl and just happen to meet her when she didn't happen to be with her father. I'm inclined to believe that she was online, ran across somebody pretending to be like some 16-year-old boy or something. And that's, this sex trafficker found out she's going to be at this game, and somehow he got a fake ticket and showed up there and met up with this girl. Oh yeah, I'm here. They're texting back and forth. Oh yeah, I'm here. Well, tell your dad that you have to go to the restroom and meet me here. And that's what she did. Now, what story he told once she got there, I don't know. Maybe he said, "Oh, I'm the kid's father. Why don't you follow me down here?" He's actually, he's actually outside. Who knows what this guy told her? But there's a large part of me believe that this wasn't some coincidence, that they just happened to run into each other. This guy went there because he knew this girl was going to be there. And he convinced her to pretend to go to the restroom and meet me by the concession stand. Now, what I would also say about this is that, and the way you should know, the way they found her is through facial recognition. I mean, she was gone for 11 days. They'd already raped her. They'd already taken nude pictures of her and put those pictures up somewhere on the dark web. I don't know where. But this initiative place in Houston used facial recognition to scan the internet, and they actually found her picture, found out where she was, and that's how they were able to get her. Now, this, you know what I think about sex trafficking. I think it's the causes of disappearances. It does, but I think that it's not as common as everybody believes. But I will also say that I've never heard of this before. And once again, I'm not really a sex trafficking expert. Delve into it, once again, just because of disappearances once in a while. But if this was something that was real, you'd think that this was something that would be going on a lot more. You'd hear a lot more stories about this. Not just in Dallas, but we have a lot of sporting venues in the United States. And a lot of young girls going to games with their fathers. And this is the first time I've ever heard of this. So, I don't know. That's why I tend to think that this was something that was set up. This was not something where these sex traffickers are just going to games after games of getting fake tickets or whatever, and just hoping that they run into, the right girl at the right time. This seems to me to be something a little more precise, something that was set up. Shelly, oh man, I heard about that. Ferry says, a mom in my son's Lived on the same street in Tacoma as Ted Bundy. The neighborhood is called University Place. Okay, same class. Sheree says, I think there was a lot of information missing from that story. She was 15, not 5. I have a few questions, is all I'm saying. Yeah, me too. Yeah, she was 15. Yeah, not 5. Yeah, because if she was 5, then her father or whoever would have gone with her to the restroom. Sheree just went to a baseball game a few weeks ago, got ticketed at least 5 times. Exactly, Sheree. Jill, sports are huge for human trafficking, specifically escorts, usually looking for fans to use services. Yes, but that's women looking for men, and we know all about the Super Bowl, but that's certainly true, Jill. Sheree, I think they had a conversation before, my personal opinion. I agree. Ferry agrees. Sheree, I don't know about that either. I think they went on OnlyFans and found her pic. I'm just saying what one of the articles said about facial recognition. Sheree, once again, we agree, and we haven't even talked about this one. Yeah. Yeah. How about that, Sheree? So I just wanted to bring that up. Maybe, like I think some of you said you've seen this story already. Don't be so sure that this was just an accident that this girl and this guy ran into each other. I think this was some sort of, I know they call it catfishing or luring, whatever you want to call it. I'm thinking that she thought she was meeting some 16-year-old boy and it ended up being this guy. And of course, that's what I think what happened with the Delphi murders too. All right. Well, let's move on to this Friday's disappearance, being that we only have about 5 minutes left. We're going back to Canada. We haven't been there for a while. Don't know why. I've tried to do some Canadian disappearances, but just have not been successful until now. This Friday will be the disappearance of Ryan Stuka. He disappeared from Sun Peaks, British Columbia on February 17th, 2018, so a little over 4 years ago. And his mother, Heather, is the guest. My perception as a stupid American is that this is one of the most well-known disappearances in Canada. Maybe Madison Scott's is probably up there, maybe number 1, maybe. But Ryan's is certainly up there as well. And this episode is called Had They Only Known. And where I get that from is that at one point in my interview with Ryan's mother, Heather, she even says something to the effect of, because the facts, if you don't know them, like I said, I know it's well known, so many of you have probably heard, but a lot of people haven't, is that he was working in Sun Peaks at the ski resort, went to a party until early that morning of February 17th and left. And it was a very short walk back to where he was staying and never made it, never seen again. What hampered searches was that it was very cold and there was a ton of snow right after, like just hours after he left this party to walk home. It snowed quite a bit, so that covered up any evidence, any footprints, anything like that. But where I get the title from is at one point in the interview, Heather says something to the effect of, if the other people at the party would have known that he was going to go missing, then they would have paid more attention to him leaving. She says something to that effect. And when she said that, it really stuck with me because, we know that to be true. We know that there are a lot of people out there, friends, family, coworkers, who have a lot of guilt and regret about that. If I'd only been paying a little more attention, had I looked left instead of looked right. And I even bring up some examples in the episode about how things would be different if something, just one little piece, one person would have paid a little more attention at the right time. Because the issue with Ryan's disappearance is that he's at this party. There were other people there. And he left and nobody really remembers him leaving. I think this has caused some people to go to conspiracy land, that there was some sort of cover up. Heather doesn't believe that. I don't believe that. It's just too complex. Just, once again, too many moving parts. But we do believe that just people were just off doing their own thing. There might have been a lot of people were drinking. There might have been some drugs there as well that might have affected people's perceptions. But Ryan didn't seem to go out of his way to say goodbye to anybody. And nobody said goodbye to him to even say, well, what was his demeanor? What did he say? We don't have any of that. Once again, had they known that in an alternate timeline that Ryan's going to go missing, maybe they would have paid more attention. And so that is why this episode is called Had They Only Known. So once again, this is the disappearance of Ryan Shtuka, SHTUKA, from Sun Peaks, British Columbia, February 17th, 2018. His mother, Heather, she did fantastic. You know, at this point, I can tell when people have done a lot of interviews, you'll be able to tell very quickly Heather has done a lot of interviews. In contrast to some other guests, maybe you're just getting interviewed for the first time, and maybe you can tell that as well. You can tell certainly Heather has done a lot of talking about her son's disappearance. But the title of it is Had They Only Known. So that's it. Once again, subscribe to this channel, like this video, share it. Consider becoming a member of this channel by hitting the join button. What did we talk about? Talked about this new area that I'm broadcasting from. Talked about disc golf. Talked about Columbo. People never did give me your favorite Columbo episodes. The Smith poll, Brittany Drexel, TikTok, Tonya Washburn. Rest in peace, Tonya. Tara Grinstead trial. The live show is changing. The plane crash. Serial killers. This girl got sex trafficked from a Dallas Mavericks game and then finished it up with Ryan Shtuka this Friday. That's all I got. Thank you for watching. We don't have too many Wednesday live shows left, but we certainly have a lot of live shows left. So thank you for watching. Thank you for making the time. Thank you for the contributions from Super Chat tonight. Thank you for all the thumbs up. Thank you for making the time wherever you are. That's all I got. I hope you all have a beautiful night. Sleep well. Have a great day tomorrow. And you will hear me and or see me on Friday, depending on how you are now taking in the Unfound episodes. Good night. Thank you so much.